inevitable.
That's a good villain. Not as in a good person, but good at his job of being a villain. It's important for a villain to be strong and terrifying, or at the very least, utterly despicable. Weak villains lead to weak stories, and weak stories are boring stories.
Boring!
It should be writing 101, but somehow, for some reason, big-budget Hollywood productions still find a way to screw it up. Instead of giving us a terrifying villain that keeps us on the edge of our seats, certain movies have given us bland, bumbling Voldemorts from Temu, who only inspire yawns.
What are you going to do? Kill me?
Oh, no, of course not. He is.
The first of these uninteresting villains is Don Bellweather, the small bad of Zootopia. Disney made a lot of mistakes in writing Bellweather, and these mistakes made her way less effective than she could have been. The concept itself is very interesting. Zootopia is a futuristic alternate reality city where animals have stopped eating each other. Predators and prey live side by side with all the trappings of modern society. They have technology, democracy, and bloody taxes to fund it all. But Don Bellweather, the assistant mayor, is undermining this utopian project by drugging predators with a hallucinogen and making them revert to their old savage selves. These savage predators rip prey into pieces and eat them. Because the population of Zootopia is 90% prey animals, inflaming predator-prey tensions is a surefire way for Don Bellweather to gain power and then keep it.
Think of it. 90% of the population united against a common enemy will be unstoppable.
Like I said, interesting concept, but the execution was awful. For starters, we only learn about this conspiracy in the last 20 minutes. There isn't even a hint of anything like this happening for the 80% of the movie. Zootopia starts off as the story of Judy Hopps overcoming animal racism to become the first bunny police officer. That storyline takes up the first 30% of the movie. Then, after proving herself to her doubting superiors, Judy gets assigned to a missing mammals case. Her task is to find an otter, one of 14 missing predators in the city. She finds the otter and all the other missing predators. They had gone savage, and Mayor Lionheart was keeping them in a secret facility so as not to spook the public. By then, we're already 60% into the movie. It looks like the usual political cover-up. There isn't even a hint of the larger conspiracy. Nobody knows that Don Bellweather is the one responsible for making the predators go savage. It's only at the 80% mark of the story that we figure out that there's somebody turning the predators savage on purpose. We don't learn that that somebody is Don Bellweather until the 90% mark. Bellweather is barely a character in Zootopia. She only has 6 minutes of screen time, and 4 of those minutes come after she is revealed to be the villain. Before that, she only makes sporadic appearances and has literally zero presence. She is a timid side character who is as influential as paint on a wall. Bellweather first appears on screen, tripping over her feet to pin a badge on Judy's chest during her graduation from the police academy.
It's a real proud day for us little guys.
Bellweather, make room, will you? Come on.
Her screen presence doesn't improve after that.
Sir, if I could just do...
The writers didn't spend any time building up Bellweather or even hinting that she was a significant character.
But you're the assistant mayor of Zootopia.
Oh, I'm more of a glorified secretary. I think Mayor Lionheart just wanted the sheep vote.
It's okay to keep the identity of a villain hidden, but the villain's actions still need to be affecting the story from the very first act. If you fail, it just seems like an afterthought. Zootopia seems like a story about animal racism that was written almost all the way through until somebody realized, oops, we need a bad guy. So they picked Don Bellweather. Even Bellweather's eventual villain reveal is weak. While watching the scene where Judy is trapped in a pit with Nick, I know Bellweather is dangerous in an abstract sense.
Wow! Very dangerous!
But I just don't feel the danger. Good villains inspire an unholy amount of terror, both in the character and the audience. The wolf from Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is a perfect example. When you watch him beat the living crap out of Puss and then order Puss to pick up his sword and try again, you feel the fear. You see Puss's fur standing up and start to worry that this might be the end. That's what a real villain inspires. But Don Bellweather only inspires mild annoyance. If Disney wanted to make her a villain, they should have built her up, or at the very least, they should have given her more screen time. Gazelle, a literal background character who doesn't affect the story in any way and is only there for world building, has more screen time than Bellweather. It's a travesty. I made an even longer video where I rant about every single thing that is wrong with Don Bellweather, so please check it out if you want a deeper dive. For now, let's move on to another wannabe villain who sucks so hard he even sucks at sucking.
He runs and hides like the mouse, and we find him like the cat.
Despicable Me 4 proved that Will Ferrell can't do a French accent without sounding German.
I'm sure you all know that I have something very big in the works.
Sadly, that is the only thing this movie proves. Unlike Don Bellweather, who is introduced very late in the movie, Maxim Lamal is introduced in the opening scene. He receives an award for being the most evil villain during the alumni reunion of a school that only educates villains. His name, Lamal, literally means the evil in French. To have a name like that and to win an award like that, he has to be pretty evil, right? Actually, no. This is simultaneously the most common and yet the most ignored writing advice ever. I'm sure you've heard it 1,000 times before, and you hate it, but please bear with me for this 1,001st time. Show, don't tell. Telling us Maxim Lamal is evil has zero emotional impact. You have to show Maxim Lamal doing something evil. Show him kicking a puppy, show him beating a baby, or show him taking the last slice from a pizza he didn't buy. Just show him doing something. All great villain intros don't tell us this guy is bad. They show him being bad, and we come to that conclusion by ourselves. Contrary to popular opinion in Hollywood writing rooms, we actually have brains. That's why showing is way more impactful than telling. It doesn't matter now though, the mistake has already been made. But it's not the end of the world. All Maxim Lamal has to do is live up to his reputation. Unluckily for Maxim, he suffers from a serious case of Frenchness. His DNA is allergic to winning. Maxim Lamal fails at literally everything he tries, including paying for gas. This is a big no. A villain can't be that incompetent. Incompetence is not terrifying. Good villains may be bad people, but they have to be good at what they do. If they're too stupid to pay for gas at a self-service station, how on earth are we supposed to believe they pose a credible threat to anyone? Maxim Lamal handles his inability to pay for gas by turning the gas station attendant into a cockroach and making him do it for him.
Much better. Now get me a purple slushy!
This is the scene that is supposed to prove he's evil, but it still falls flat because Maxim Lamal launches into a long speech complaining about everything before transforming the attendant. If Maxim Lamal had just walked into the gas station and turned the attendant into a cockroach, that action would be way more terrifying. Whining like a little brat for 3 hours beforehand robs that moment of all its impact. We don't see a dangerous man who will destroy anyone who gets in his way. We see a pathetic man who takes out his frustrations on those weaker than him. It may be villain behavior, but it doesn't fit with the image we have been given of Maxim Lamal. Bullying a gas station attendant is something that a low-level street thug would do. But a supposed supervillain like Maxim Lamal, shouldn't he be bullying bigger targets? The cringe keeps piling up because Lamal's big plan is kidnapping Gru's baby, Gru Jr. He succeeds at that, but it's all due to luck rather than competence. Gru Jr. is unattended and Maxim just picks him up. This undermines Maxim Lamal's supposed villain image even more. Walking up to a door and kidnapping an unattended baby is not difficult. Anybody can do it. In fact, another baby can kidnap an unattended baby. A fearsome villain should be kidnapping unkidnappable targets. Something like rolling up to Congress and kidnapping the president during the State of the Union while the whole world is watching. That's the kind of thing I expect a villain of Maxim Lamal's supposed caliber to be doing. It demonstrates tremendous skill, intelligence, and audacity. These are the things that build up a villain's resume and give that aura of danger. But picking up an unattended baby from his mommy's front door, what the hell is that? And Maxim doesn't even get away with it. He's instantly spotted and chased down. Then the baby turns against him and beats the crap out of him. Despite his supposed extreme capacity for evil, Maxim Lamal never rises above the level of a mild annoyance. He's a goofy comic relief character at best, and he's not even goofily good like Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. He's just a goofily cringe, the worst form of goofy. Maxim Lamal could have been so much more, but he fell flat because he was all hype and no substance. Despicable Me 4 tries very hard to tell us he is a genuine threat, but every time he is on screen, Maxim Lamal proves the opposite. So we have two ways of how not to introduce and portray your villain. 1. Do not introduce her too late, and 2. Don't make him a goofball unless you're writing a genuine parody like Austin Powers. Kung Fu Panda 4 avoids both of these mistakes, but it still manages to screw up its villain. So, how? The chameleon gets a kick-ass intro. In the very first scene of Kung Fu Panda 4, we see her take over an iron mine. But we don't know it's her yet because she's disguised as Tai Lung.
The Empress of Disguise, capable of taking any form, mimicking any shape. The Master of Deception, the Lizard of Lies with the glowing teal eyes. I'm talking about the chameleon.
When we meet the chameleon, she has shapeshifted into a crocodile, gathered the heads of Juniper City's crime families, and tricked them into revealing what they really think about her.
She's just some bug-eyed, power-hungry reptilian runt.
The chameleon then shapeshifts into an elephant and pushes the bear who said that down the stairs. This is Kung Fu Panda 4 showing instead of telling, which is a good thing. They show us the chameleon's shapeshifting abilities and they show us her ruthlessness. It's her big villain intro. It's meant to put the fear of God into us, but it falls flat. Why? It's simple. The chameleon hurt the wrong character. Showing your villain hurting somebody is one of the best ways to introduce that villain. However, the person being hurt has to be a character that the audience already cares about. When we see somebody we like getting hurt, we instantly dislike the person doing the hurting. Showing the villain hurting random NPCs doesn't have the same impact. If the victims are random, then at least make them sympathetic. Puppies, babies, and pretty girls are the most popular choices. But the chameleon chooses a bear, which is a hard sell. We can't sympathize with a ruthless criminal just because he's getting shafted by a more ruthless criminal. How are we supposed to sympathize with this guy?
We used to run the city. Now we pay her half the money we swindle.
And the bear doesn't even get hurt. All he gets out of his roll down the stairs is a bruised ego. Kung Fu Panda 4's writers missed an opportunity here. They could have done so much more to make the chameleon look dangerous in her introductory scene, but they didn't. The chameleon's aura of danger gets progressively weaker as the story chugs along. Her motivation is as generic as they come. She wants to rule the world.
I'll expand my rule from Juniper City to every city and town and village, from here to the Valley of Peace and beyond.
The chameleon could still be scary, but Kung Fu Panda 4 undermines her further. She captures Po, and instead of finishing him off, she launches into the one villain trope I hate the most, the annoying speech that goes on and on until the hero escapes. I really hate this trope. It's lazy writing. The writers are in a bind. The hero is in trouble, and instead of making the hero smarter, they make the villain dumber so the hero can get out of trouble. It breaks the immersion and shows that the writers are all putting their fat thumbs on the scale. And it gets worse. During her unprovoked and unnecessary yap session, the chameleon exposes her own massive weakness.
Just because I can look like Tai Lung doesn't mean I can fight like him.
She's all image and no substance. She can shapeshift into other animals, but she doesn't have their strength or their fighting abilities. She only has the image, nothing else. It's okay for a villain to have weaknesses, but why would she just tell that to the hero? Isn't this the kind of thing she's supposed to keep secret? The chameleon remedies that problem by using Poe's Dragon Warrior staff to access the spirit world and steal the kung fu skills of all the dead master villains. It's just another dumb idea in a long list of dumb ideas. Those master villains were defeated. It's why they're dead. That's like going to war and copying Hitler's tactics. If the chameleon was smart, she would steal kung fu skills from the spirits of the winners, not the losers. Despite me impotently yelling at the screen, the chameleon steals her kung fu from all the dead villains and has her big fight with Poe. The choreography of this fight is awesome, but that's it. There's no tension, no sense of danger, no stakes. That's because we know Poe cannot possibly lose. We're watching Kung Fu Panda 4, and we know there is going to be a Kung Fu Panda 5. There just has to be. The writers can't let Poe lose or even get hurt in any way because their first job is not to tell a story, it's to protect the franchise. The chameleon gets predictably beaten, the movie ends, and DreamWorks starts working on Kung Fu Panda 5. Such a waste. This is the problem with having sequel after sequel after sequel. It kills stakes and ruins stories. We see the same problem with villains like Malekith from Thor: The Dark World, Steppenwolf from Justice League, Riot from Venom, and Enchantress from Suicide Squad. These villains are billed as all-powerful and dangerous, but they are not allowed to win. They're not even allowed to do any damage to any of the important characters, because the writers are trying to set up a franchise or protect a franchise instead of telling a compelling story. And when the franchise comes first, nothing bad can ever happen to the heroes, no matter what. The villain has to be watered down, dumbed down, or nerfed in some other way to give the heroes an easy victory so the heroes can live to be in sequel 34, prequel 28, and spin-off 307. The one villain who has gotten shafted by this franchise protection strategy harder than anyone I've seen is Apocalypse from X-Men Apocalypse.
An all-powerful mutant.
Exactly.
Apocalypse has powers beyond imagination. He has lived for 1,000 lifetimes and collected 1,000 different mutant abilities over those lifetimes.
He had the ability to transfer his consciousness from body to body. Whenever he was close to death, he would just take on a new body.
Apocalypse chooses the bodies of mutants, and when he is transferring his consciousness and gains the abilities of those mutants, that's how he has so many mutant abilities. The intro shows him taking over the body of a mutant with super healing abilities in ancient Egypt. Apocalypse has powers that are literally beyond imagination. He can turn literal guns into dust, kill with that dust, transform dust into anything, including a whole pyramid. He can teleport, he intensifies the powers of other mutants, he can piggyback on those same mutants' enhanced powers, and God knows what else.
You don't need a machine to amplify your powers. You have me.
Apocalypse is the most powerful mutant ever. When we see him in ancient Egypt, he is worshipped as a god because of all his abilities. He is betrayed during a consciousness transfer ceremony and trapped in a pyramid. He wakes up 3,000 years later, touches a TV, and instantly learns about everything that has happened since his entrapment. Then he goes around recruiting mutants for his cause. Apocalypse views himself like a forest fire. He starts apocalypses in which millions and even billions of people die, but he considers it a good thing because the weak die and only the strongest survive. It's a very bloody and very savage eugenics program.
The weak have taken the earth. For this, I was betrayed.
He recruits Storm, Angel, Psylocke, and Magneto to his cause by showing them how easily he can kill and also intensifying their abilities. They all know what he plans to do, and they are fully on board. On paper, Apocalypse is unbeatable, but he gets beaten anyway. So how do the writers make it happen? First, they make him selectively dangerous. In the first half of the movie, Apocalypse kills anybody who even annoys him without a second thought. In the final fight, however, that killer instinct is gone. He traps Quicksilver by encasing his legs in rock so he can't move, and just leaves him. He covers Cyclops with a wall, but doesn't finish him off. He just leaves him alive, surrounded by rock. It's almost like Apocalypse's killer instinct just decided to take a day off, or perhaps the writers are interfering to protect their pet heroes. And then his people turn against him. Magneto was perfectly willing and happy to rip every metal out of the earth, destroying every structure that has ever been built and murdering billions in the process. But Apocalypse choking one girl is where he draws the line? It's a classic case of plot armor saving the day. The writers made an overpowered villain, but they couldn't figure out a smart way to beat him. So they came out with a bunch of contrived scenarios to make sure he loses so they can set up sequels and spin-offs for all their little heroes. It's so transparent and annoying. Apocalypse is a terrifying villain in the comics. He should have gotten 2, maybe even 3 movies. His power makes him impossible to beat without tremendous sacrifices. It would have been a very compelling story if Apocalypse had claimed 1 or 2 beloved heroes along the way like Thanos did. But the writers are so focused on setting up the next sequel and the next spin-off that they refuse to let Apocalypse kill or even moderately injure anybody important. That's how we end up with an overpowered villain with godlike powers whose only accomplishment is murdering a bunch of NPCs with 0 superpowers. Apocalypse is a hypothetically dangerous villain who is never allowed to be truly dangerous because the writers are more focused on creating a franchise than they are on telling a compelling story. This, in my opinion, is the greatest problem with modern movies. Instead of telling a story, everybody is busy trying to build a franchise. Stories get watered down, and nothing bad can ever happen to popular characters because everything has to be stretched out into 32 movies, 96 TV shows, 800 spin-offs, 2 video games, and a ride at Disney World. Most of the time, this plan flops anyway, so studios are better off just telling good stories. But will they ever learn the lesson?